So in our fourth task, this is on measuring meds. So a person took some medicine but does not remember how much. Concerned that she took too much, she has a blood test every hour for several hours. So time T is measured in hours since the blood test, and the amount of medicine in her body, M, is measured in milligrams. What is the growth factor? That is B in the equation, M equals A times B to the T. So if we go through here, our initial amount was 100. And then to figure out what the growth factor is, I can take the 50 and divide that by 100. So B, my growth factor, is going to be the 50 divided by the 100, which is 1/2 as a fraction, or you could write that as 0.5 if you're a decimal person. So now what we can do is to write an equation. So y equals, our initial value is 100 at time 0. So 100 times our growth factor is 0.5 to the, I'm just going to put x power. In this situation, we're using m and t. So really, this is m equals 100 times 0.5 t. But in our case, in our graphing calculator, we have to use that x and y. So in this situation, now we're asked to find what if t is -1 and what if t is -3. So what you can do then is use your calculator and go 100 times 0.5 to the -1, which is 200. And then you can go 100 times 0.5 to the -3, and that's 800. Now, this is a good question. What if you did not know what the -1 and -3 was? So -1 means 1 hour ago from the initial blood test. And also -3 means 3 hours ago. So the medicine was taken when t equals -5. Assuming the person didn't have any of the medication in her body beforehand, how much did she take? So to show our calculation here, M, the amount of medicine, would equal 100 times 0.5 to the -5, 5 hours ago. So 100 times 0.5 to the -5, which is 3,200 milligrams. So now we have to plot the points whose coordinates are shown. So again, this is 0, so I'm going to put -1, -2, -3. And then we have 0, and I need after 1 hour and 2 hours. And then if you notice, my scale needs to go all the way up to 800. So on the y-axis, I'm going to put 100 milligrams, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, and lastly, 800. Now, if you look with our numbers in the table, we can see that they're going down. But let's look at what it would look like in a graph. So if the time is -3, I go up to 800 and I put a dot. The time is -1, I go all the way down to 200. The time is 0, we're at 100. The time is at 1, you're at 50. And if it's 2, you're at 25. So what you can see is your exponential curve decreasing and eventually leveling off to 0 milligrams. So now, based on your graph, when do you think the patient will have 500 milligrams in their body? So looking at our graph, 500 milligrams is here. And that looked at to be about T is negative 2.5 or 2.5 hours from the initial reading. And then again, we can put 2.5 hours before the initial reading. And when do you think that person will have no medicine in the body? So here it looks to be, I would estimate down here about 3 hours after the first reading, 3 to 4 hours. So our math model would have it kind of always be a little bit above there. So I'm going to say around 4 hours. That's a little bit early of an estimate, but after some point, you would assume that it's going to be pretty safe for that patient right around here.